It's 2025, and everything feels more expensive. Groceries, cars, electronics, even that budget flight to anywhere but here. Why? Because countries are slapping tariffs on each other like it's a global tax dodgeball tournament. The US just hit China with tariffs as high as 145%. Canada's in on it too. If it crosses a border, it probably costs more now. This whole tariff wave, it started back in 2016 when Donald Trump made trade wars sound like a competitive sport. Now we're in the sequel, and everyone brought more taxes to the fight. But how did we get here? And what do tariffs actually do, besides making stuff more expensive and news anchors sound confused? Let's break it down, simply. So yeah, tariffs. We keep hearing about them. But what actually are they? A tariff is a tax on imported goods. Simple, right? Country A makes something. Country B wants it. But before it crosses the border, Country B slaps on a fee. Boom, tariffed. Governments say it's to protect local businesses, give the hometown hero a shot. But let's be real, it's also about politics, optics, and the occasional trade war chest thump. Tariffs don't hit countries, they hit products. And those hits, they show up in price tags. And eventually, retail shelves start looking strangely empty. And finally, in supply chains so tangled, you'd think someone was assembling IKEA furniture, blindfolded. So where are things right now, in 2025? Tariffs are back, and this time they brought back up. President Donald Trump is back in office, again, and so are the tariffs. The US just hit Chinese imports with tariffs as high as 145%. 145. That's not a typo. Why? Because China's exporting steel, aluminum, and EVs, fast, cheap, and annoyingly efficient. So the US responded like it was playing economic whack-a-mole. Helping lead the charge, Peter Navarro, the trade whisperer from the last Trump term, now back in action and still allergic to cheap imports. Also entering the arena, Howard Lutnick, CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, now Commerce Secretary, which feels kind of like replacing your accountant with a bazooka. And it's not just the US. Canada jumped in too, imposing a 100% tariff on Chinese-made EVs and a 25% surtax on Chinese steel and aluminum. Because apparently, nothing says international friendship like synchronized tax hikes. So no, this isn't just dry policy. It's strategy, messaging, post-election power plays. And the global supply chain? Yeah, it's holding its breath, trying not to blink. So, who actually pays for tariffs? Here's a hint. It's not the politicians signing the deals. Tariffs are taxes on imported goods. That means when companies pay more to bring stuff in, they usually pass that cost on to you. Let's say you're buying a $400 Roomba made in China. With a 100% tariff, the importer's now paying $800 to bring it in. They're not just going to eat that cost, they bump up the price. Add shipping, dealer fees, and the usual sprinkle of because we can. So now the Roomba costs over $1,000, and your savings have vanished faster than a TikTok influencer after promoting a crypto rug pull. And even if it's labeled Made in the USA, a lot of the parts, raw materials, or packaging still come from overseas. So the price tag still creeps up, just with better branding. So when leaders say tariffs will make other countries pay, what they really mean is, you'll pay first. All right, so tariffs hit prices. But what about the economy as a whole? Let's break it down. Imagine you run a small company in California that builds electric bikes. You assemble everything locally, but your batteries, they come from China. So do your motors, brake pads, even the boxes you ship them in. Now a tariff hits. Suddenly your parts cost double. You've got two choices: raise your prices or lose money on every bike. Now zoom out. Thousands of small businesses are facing the same decision. Some cut corners, some shut down. Spending drops, investment slows, and just like that, GDP takes a hit. And if you thought prices were high now, just wait till concert merch starts getting tariffed. So yeah, global markets get nervous, and regular people, they start noticing. The stuff they need costs more. The stuff they want costs way more. That tiny tax at the border, it just caused a big ripple everywhere else. Alright, we've seen what tariffs do, but why use them in the first place? Sometimes it's about protection. If your local factories can't compete with cheaper imports, tariffs raise the price of foreign goods, giving the home team a fighting chance. Other times, it's about money, especially in countries that don't collect much income tax. Tariffs become the government's version of selling merch. But let's be honest, a lot of it comes down to politics. Tariffs look tough, they sound strategic, and they play great on campaign trails and primetime news. They're also great for retaliation. You tax my steel, I tax your cheese. It's Real Housewives, but with spreadsheets, trade reps, and just slightly less screaming. So, do tariffs actually work? Sometimes. In the 1980s, the US slapped tariffs on Japanese motorcycles. The goal? Help Harley-Davidson survive. It worked. Harley got breathing room, reorganized, and rode off into the sunset. But other times, not so much. Take washing machines. In 2018, the US put big tariffs on foreign washers to help Whirlpool. Prices jumped 20%. Dryers, which weren't even tariffed, went up too. Why? Because most people buy them as a set, so retailers just hiked the price on both. Because, why not? Consumers paid $1.5 billion. The number of jobs saved? Roughly 1,800. That's nearly $800,000 per job saved, or as we call it now, one Taylor Swift VIP package. Yay! Tariffs can work, but only if you pick your battles, play the long game, and know when to stop swinging. So, are tariffs good or bad? The truth is, they're not good or bad. They're powerful. Used well, they protect industries. Used poorly, they ripple through the economy. And in 2025, they're stacking up fast. Every new tariff raises prices, shakes confidence, and pressures the Fed to act. Rate cuts, sticky inflation, and a stock market moving like the volatility index just had too much coffee. But here's the flip side. Resolve the tariffs, and pressure on prices starts to ease. Supply chains stabilize, markets chill out, and central banks can stop guessing. It won't fix everything, but it's a start. Because tariffs aren't just policy. They're part of your paycheck, your rent, your grocery bill. And the longer they hang around, the harder it is to clean up the mess. But at least now, you see the game. This was explained simply. Hit subscribe. We've got a whole world to unpack.